What's up everyone, this is Derek. Welcome to my channel, Euro Superbike Life. Hopefully you all had a very Merry Christmas, and let's wish you a Happy New Year as well, and a safe one at that. In today's episode, we're talking about lithium-ion batteries for your European Superbike, why you should and you shouldn't use them, some of the pros and cons. We'll do some comparisons, and then at the very end, we'll talk about why I chose to use this particular battery in my bikes. So stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. So lithium-ion batteries. Why would you want to use them in your European sport bike? Why would you want to use them in any motorcycle, car, truck, what have you? Well, let's go through some of the general pros and cons, and then we'll talk about my battery. So right off the bat, pros, lightweight. Your lithium-ion battery can offer you anywhere from a 50 to a 90% weight savings. That is significant on motorcycles where power to weight ratio is king. So on this particular bike back here, my MV Augusta F3800, this is the stock battery in here. This thing is a brick. We'll put it on the scale here in a little bit. Sorry, showing you the back. But this thing is a brick. We'll put it on the scale here in a little bit. But this battery sits right under this tank. It's high in the chassis, so if we can remove weight, any weight from a motorcycle, that's going to help us. But particularly if we can remove weight that's high in the bike, instantly we improve performance by lowering the bike's center of gravity. It instantly handles better, and we just have an overall better experience. On the con side, price, and we'll get back to this again, but on the con side, price. So when comparing a lithium-ion battery, its retail price, to a stock or standard lead acid battery, expect to pay at least twice more on average for your lithium-ion battery than you would your standard lead acid battery. Pro, power. A lithium-ion battery is going to offer way more cranking amps than your standard lead acid battery. So the stock battery here that comes in my MV Augusta F3800 has somewhere in the area of 80 to 90 cranking amps. My battery here, that we'll talk about a little bit later, my Scorpion Stinger battery, this has 385 cranking amps. It is the same battery that I not only use in my MV, but I use in the BMW track bike, as well as the RSV4 factory back there. Very exact same battery, offers way more power. Con. If you live in a cold climate, or if you plan on using this particular battery in a vehicle that's used in a cold climate, like a snowmobile or snow machine, a lithium-ion battery is probably not your best choice. These batteries need to be warm to operate at their optimum potential. And using them in cold environments, they are notorious for having to start slow. So you don't want to do that. You'll probably want to find a standard lead acid battery with lots of cold cranking amps. Pro, charging. If you've ever had to charge a standard lead acid battery, be it for your car, truck, or motorcycle, you know that you'll have to connect it to a charger. You probably can't see it, but there is a large Napa charger back there, as well as a large Schumacher charger. And you'll have to put your battery on those chargers for 6-7 hours. Your lithium-ion battery, in equivalence, will charge anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes tops. No more waiting all day. You connect it, charge it, 10-15 minutes later, maybe you go get a beer, maybe you go get a drink, you make yourself a sandwich, and by the time you come back, your battery is fully charged. Not partially charged, not almost charged, fully charged. 10 to 15 minutes. Pro, longevity. If you took your lead acid battery out of your car, truck, or motorcycle, set it on the shelf for, let's say, 6 months, it would lose on average about 1% of its power per day. It could lose up to 1% of its power per day. Compared to a lithium-ion battery, if you take it out of your car, truck, motorcycle, set it on the shelf, it's only going to lose about 1% of its power per month. So it's a no-brainer there. Your lithium-ion battery is going to last a whole hell of a lot longer. Now let's talk about the Scorpion Stinger line of batteries and why I choose this particular battery. Earlier we talked about lithium-ion batteries in general and their price as being a con. Well, now we're going to talk about them as being a pro for the manufacturers that I mentioned earlier. Those batteries, for a comparable size battery to this, price for those ranges anywhere from $185 up over $300. The full spectrum P2 and P3 batteries, for example. The P2 retails for about $200, about $199. It's slightly lighter than this, but doesn't offer anywhere near the cranking power. The P3, on the other hand, retails for about $300-ish. It's about the same weight, but comes in about 280, 285 cranking amps. This battery from batterystuff.com, shipped to your door, is $147 point blank. I also don't need a special charger. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But some of those other manufacturers, not all of them, but some of them that I mentioned earlier, require a special charger. So in addition to the $200 or $300 that you're paying for the battery, you're going to spend an additional $80 to $100 or so for special charger / tender. The other reason I purchased this particular battery is ease of use. And what do I mean by that? So I mentioned already that I don't need a special battery charger or tender for this one. There's a Napa battery charger over there. There's a large Schumacher battery charger behind me as well. I can take this battery for whatever reason, if I let it sit for 6 months or longer and it does discharge, I can hook it up to any one of those chargers and charge this particular battery. The other thing is I know the exact status of this battery. There is a blue test button right here, and right next to it is 3 LEDs and a scale. So if I push and hold that test button, I'm going to see 3 LEDs, which means that it's fully charged. I'm going to see 2 LEDs, which means that it's about 50% charged, or I'm going to see 1 LED, which means it's about 25% charged or 75% discharged. I know the exact status of my battery. None of those, as far as I know, I could be wrong, correct me, leave a comment if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of those other manufacturers offers any type of onboard battery status indicator of any kind whatsoever. It's a complete crapshoot on knowing the status of your battery. Now, the final reason I chose this particular battery is I've been using this line of batteries for the better part of 7 years, not only in all my street bikes, but when I was riding dirt, I had a KTM 350 SXF with an electric start. I used this battery, not this particular one, but this line of batteries in that bike as well. I've never had one problem, not with any of the batteries that I've ever purchased, not in any of the bikes that I've ever purchased or used them in. When I put this battery in there, the bike simply starts all the time, every time. No problem whatsoever. In addition to that, if you viewed my last video where I replaced the battery and put this battery in my MV Agusta F3800, you know, or you may remember that I mentioned that that particular bike is very, very heavy on sprag clutches, which means that bike needs a battery that can just crank out the power and turn it over so the sprag stays engaged and your bike turns over. If you have a battery that can't supply the necessary cranking power to keep that 3-cylinder engine turned over and keep that sprag engaged, the sprag is going to slip and you're going to go through sprag clutches. I know people that have gone through sprag clutches in 1,200 miles, 2,000 miles, and 10,000 miles. It all depends on the battery you have in there. So make sure that you have a very good battery in your bike. Now, having said all of that, let's put both of these batteries on a scale and see how much weight savings I'm actually getting. Okay guys, so you can see we're over here on my workbench and we have our Scorpion battery, lithium ion battery on the left, our stock lead acid battery on the right, and our scale in the middle. We will turn it on here and let it zero out. And now we will place our lead acid battery on there and we will zoom in. And we have 7 pounds, 3.9 ounces. Now our lithium ion battery, and we have 2 pounds, 0.4 ounces. That's more than 5 pounds weight savings, or 71% weight savings in total. So we're removing 5 pounds of weight from the top of the bike, which will automatically lower its center of gravity and should make the bike handle a lot better. Well, that's a wrap, guys, for this episode on lithium ion batteries and the Scorpion Stinger line of lithium ion batteries. Again, if you don't know much about the Scorpion Stinger line, go and do some research, do your homework, but get yourself one, try it out for yourself with your bike. I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. Nevertheless, that's a wrap for this episode. If you found this video useful or informative, please click like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. But I'm Derek, this was Euro Superbike Life. Until next time, take care.